Hello everyone and welcome to the cryptocurrency iceberg. Today I'm going to be explaining everything contained in the cryptocurrency iceberg and take you down the rabbit hole of cryptocurrencies. Before we start the video, hit the subscribe button because only a small percentage of you are subscribed to the channel. So this iceberg was created by a user called Virtual Blakes and is the most extensive crypto iceberg I've seen so far. I'm sure that there are things that are missed out on this iceberg, but leave them in the comments below so I can do an updated version in the future and add on to this iceberg. If you don't know, an iceberg list starts off with commonly known things at the top of the chart and then goes down the chart with the more obscure things that are in the space that we're talking about. So I'm going to be going over all the things listed on the iceberg from the top to the bottom and giving explanations for each one. So let's start off with the first tier. So tier 1, this covers the most basic stuff that most people will know. Cryptocurrency. This is defined as any form of currency that exists virtually and uses cryptography to secure transactions on a network. Bitcoin. This is a decentralized digital currency that you can buy, sell, and exchange directly without an intermediary bank. It's also the biggest cryptocurrency in the world at the current time and was founded back in 2009. Blockchain. This is the backbone of how cryptocurrencies work. It's a shared ledger that facilitates the process of recording transactions on a network. Blockchains can't be changed and tend to be open to the public to see every transaction on the network. Ethereum. Like Bitcoin, is also a decentralized digital currency that you can buy, sell, and exchange directly without an intermediary bank. It's the second biggest cryptocurrency online and was founded 4 years after Bitcoin back in 2013. Cryptography. This is the process of transforming data into formats that can't be recognized by unauthorized users. For example, if you were to send an encrypted message, the letters would be replaced with other characters. Only a person with a key could solve the puzzle. This is why it's used to secure wallets on a cryptocurrency network. Stablecoins. These are fixed price cryptocurrencies whose market value is attached to another stable asset. A stablecoin can be pegged to assets such as certain fiat currencies that allows for trading of that currency into the crypto world. If you want to trade your Bitcoin for a dollar amount, you could use a coin like USDT, which is always pegged at $1 a coin. Peer-to-peer. This refers to a network by which computers operated by individuals can share information and resources directly without relying on a dedicated central server. Cryptocurrencies are peer-to-peer transactions because they don't run from one dedicated server. Altcoins. Any coin other than Bitcoin is considered an altcoin due to it being an alternative to using Bitcoin. Nodes. These are components of a crypto network that allows it to function. All nodes will run a blockchain software which is used to validate and store the complete history of transactions on the network. Any computer can become a node if you download the software and run it on your device. NFT. This stands for non-fungible token. It's a token that resides on a blockchain but cannot be used as a currency on that chain. It's a store of data instead of currency. Normally this data comes in form of art, music, or videos, but can be pretty much any data that you want. Decentralization. This is the process by which the authority of something is given to all its users and not controlled by central governments or private sectors. Cryptocurrencies were invented to allow the user free reign over their money and not have any banks in control of it. Most cryptocurrencies are decentralized, but some fall on the close end of centralization. A crypto wallet. A crypto wallet is used to store your currency. There are various different types of wallets, but we'll get into that further into the video. A wallet is unique to the user and can only be accessed if you know the private key or seed phrase. White paper. This is a document that is released by new crypto developers to explain the purpose of the new crypto and what technology is behind it. It tells prospect investors how the crypto is made and what its overall purpose is in the crypto sphere. Now we're moving on to tier 2. This goes over some mainstream terms in the space which many will understand already. Satoshi Nakamoto. This refers to the founder of Bitcoin who used the pseudonym name Satoshi instead of his real name to mask his identity. Many people suspect the creator of Bitcoin is dead, as there hasn't been any updates in the network since the full release of Bitcoin. Metaverse. This is a world created online that can be accessed through the internet and can come in many forms. In terms of cryptocurrency, the metaverse is an online world in which you can use cryptocurrency to buy things in that universe. Things such as digital land can be sold in a metaverse. Market cap. This refers to the worth of a crypto network. It's a simple calculation where you take the number of coins in circulation and times it by the price of the coin. For example, Ethereum has 100 million coins in supply and it has a price of $1,000 per coin. The market cap would then be 100 million times 1,000, which would give the market cap of Ethereum at around $100 billion. Bitcoin dominance. This refers to the fact that Bitcoin holds a majority dominance over all the other cryptocurrencies in terms of market cap. Currently, Bitcoin makes up around 40% of all cryptocurrencies by market cap. Then in second place we have Ethereum, which makes up around 18% by market cap. Smart contracts. These are contracts that will automatically execute with the terms of agreement between the buyer and the seller being directly written into the lines of code. Smart contract transactions then become trackable and irreversible. This is why they are so heavily used in decentralized blockchains. Tokens. In crypto, you can either have a coin or a token. Coins are the native asset of a blockchain such as Bitcoin or Ethereum, whereas a token is created by platforms and applications that are built on top of an existing blockchain. For example, many crypto games use tokens for in-game currency. Most of these tokens are deployed on the Ethereum chain, so they actually reside on the Ethereum chain, but can be used as their own coin. Shitcoins. This refers to certain coins that basically have little to no actual value, meaning that they don't have a use case and typically are named after memes. There are hundreds of these coins out there, and most big influencers tend to promote them. A crypto whale. A crypto whale is an individual that holds a large amount of a certain crypto. These people tend to be early investors into crypto and also hold a majority of the coins. An example of this are people like Michael Saylor or Elon Musk in their Bitcoin holdings. Bitcoin versus Ethereum and the flippening. For a long time, the two biggest cryptocurrencies have been Bitcoin and Ethereum, so there's a competition between the two cryptos as to which one will come out on top. Bitcoin and Ethereum have very different use cases, so shouldn't really be competing, but for now Bitcoin still holds the top spot. The flippening just refers to Ethereum taking over Bitcoin in the future by market cap. Maximalist. This refers to people who believe that Bitcoin is the only digital asset that will be needed in the future. Thus, they think that all other altcoins are useless going forward in the cryptocurrency space. Web 3.0. This is the third generation of the internet, and crypto is ushering in this new wave of web development. For example, Web 1.0 were things like news articles, which were read-only and were all decentralized over the internet. Web 2.0 was partitionary, which means that you could add things to these websites. This was centralized into one place like Facebook. Now Web 3.0 is built on top of both of these and basically takes the best from either one and has no centralization because there are no intermediaries to go through. DAO. This stands for Decentralized Autonomous Organization. It's basically an entity with no central leadership where the decisions come from everyone in the community. For example, many cryptocurrencies will hold votes on their network in which they decide things that should be done to make the crypto better. Everyone who holds the crypto can input their vote, and this makes it a fair way to decide the upgrades to the network. HODL originally came as a misspelling of the word hold in an online post by an early Bitcoin investor. It has now gained popularity as people use it in the media to basically tell everyone to not sell their crypto and hold on to it as it could make more money in the future. WAGMI and NGMI. The first one stands for We're All Going to Make It, usually used in a meme format, and is supposed to build confidence and encourage people to buy certain cryptocurrencies in a hope for them getting all rich. NGMI is the opposite of this and stands for Not Going to Make It. Bitcoin doesn't have value. This refers to the fact that Bitcoin is only worth what someone is willing to pay for it. It's not backed by any physical form of value such as gold or silver, so it doesn't have any intrinsic value to people. Digital gold. This ties in with the last entry as there has been talks about Bitcoin being the digital gold and functioning much like gold in the real world. For example, a limited supply of gold is mined every year, and same goes for Bitcoin. They do share other similarities, but also share some major differences, such as the fact that you can't send physical gold to someone instantly, and so it needs to be transported. Fiat money. I really don't know why this is on the list, but it just refers to any money that is created by a central government, for example dollars or euros. Crypto bros. These are people who are all in on crypto and talk about it all the time. They tend to try and make long-term predictions on coins which are often backed by memes and self-made financial charts. Crypto traders. These are people who trade crypto much like you would in stock trading, but for crypto. Crypto traders normally trade against a fiat currency, but many also trade against other cryptocurrencies. Satoshi or Sat refers to the smallest unit of Bitcoin, which is 100 millionth of a Bitcoin. Obviously named after the creator of Bitcoin, Satoshi. Normally this form is used in smaller transactions to keep track of smaller amounts of Bitcoin. For example, Cash App normally displays Sats if you have a small amount in your wallet. Bitcoin ATMs. These are just ATMs across the globe where you can purchase Bitcoin and have it sent to a wallet of your choosing. If you would like to find one in your area, you can search on Coin ATM Radar for the location and it will show you the nearest one to you. Also, many of these ATMs will sell other cryptocurrencies such as Ethereum or Litecoin. Cryptocurrency exchange, centralized and decentralized. This is where you exchange your fiat money for crypto, or you can exchange crypto for another crypto. Normally these exchanges are centralized such as Binance or Coinbase because they facilitate the transfer of crypto. However, there are decentralized exchanges where the transactions are swaps from one user to another via a smart contract. The biggest example of a decentralized exchange is Uniswap. Seed phrase. This is a group of random words generated by a crypto wallet when it's first set up. This is how you secure your wallet if you lose it. Let's say your computer breaks and it can't be recovered. You can use another computer to input your seed phrase into the wallet program and it will restore your wallet onto that computer. Altcoin season. This refers to a time when there is a steady outperformance of tokens and coins that aren't Bitcoin. An example of this was when NFTs and the metaverse was blowing up. Many altcoins were pumping and outperforming the gains of Bitcoin. Fractional reserve banking. I think this specifically refers to stablecoins and how a bank can create a stablecoin without backing it fully with money. Fractional reserve banking basically allows a bank to only have a percentage of the amount of money they hold instead of having 100% of it on hand. Therefore, with stablecoins, it can be backed for only a percentage of the amount that it's worth. Bitcoin.org. This is the main website for information on Bitcoin. It shows you how to set up wallets, it shows the white papers, and it shows places where you can buy and sell Bitcoin. Scams. This is self-explanatory as there's been thousands of crypto scams out there. Because there's no regulation out there, it's kind of like the Wild West when it comes to scammers. For example, if your crypto has been stolen, there's pretty much no chance you can get it back because once a transaction is done, it can't be undone. Whereas with banks, you can get your money back if it's stolen. Further on in this video, there are entries which cover different types of scams, so I'll cover this topic a bit later on. So now we're on to Tier 3. This goes over things that people in the crypto industry already know about, but the average person might not know. Proof of work and proof of stake. These are two types of crypto consensuses. They are the way that transactions are processed and approved on a blockchain. Proof of work requires power to produce coins in a process called mining. You need computational power to mine coins and create blocks on a network. Proof of stake requires users to lock up their coins into a node. That node then validates blocks without using as much computational power as proof of work. They are both basically different routes to the same place in simple terms. Mining. As said in the last entry, this is the process of finding a new block on a network and validating these blocks. My YouTube channel is mostly about mining, so if you want to learn more about that, then check out some of my other videos. But further on in this iceberg, we go over various things that involve mining. Transaction fees. This refers to various fees that come along with moving crypto from one wallet to another. If there's a lot of transactions on a network, then the fee for transferring crypto will be higher. For example, Bitcoin doesn't have that many transactions when compared to Ethereum, so the transaction fees on Ethereum are way higher than Bitcoin's. ASIC. This stands for Application Specific Integrated Circuit, which is a type of computer chip which is used in mining. Many coins can be mined using a graphics card, but coins like Bitcoin require more efficient chips, and therefore, to mine Bitcoin you need an ASIC chip miner. DeFi. This refers to decentralized finance. This offers financial instruments without relying on intermediaries, such as brokerages, exchanges, or banks, by using smart contracts on a blockchain. Vitalik Buterin. He's a Canadian programmer who co-founded Ethereum. He was also only 20 years old when he founded Ethereum, which is very young for something so impactful to crypto. Mining farms. These are massive warehouses full of ASIC miners or GPUs, depending on the coin that they are mining. Most big farms were in China before the ban. Since then, they have moved operations to the US, mainly in Texas, where most big farms around the world are located. This is just because of cheap electricity and plentiful supply of infrastructure for mining. 51% attack. This is an attack on a proof-of-work crypto, where if a group of miners control over 50% of the network, then they can actually produce and control blocks. This prevents other miners from mining. This type of attack isn't to make money, as you wouldn't be able to sell the crypto due to the fact that the price would tank after an attack. So this attack is mainly against cryptos that people don't like. 21 million. This refers to the total amount of Bitcoin that will ever be in circulation. So after all the Bitcoin mining is done, there will be 21 million Bitcoins out there and no more than that. Currently, we have mined around 18 million Bitcoin, so there's around 3 million Bitcoin to be mined in the future. Halvings. This is a programmable function that happens on many blockchains where the reward for mining is halved at a certain number of blocks. Bitcoin has a halving every 210,000 blocks, which is roughly every 4 years. So when Bitcoin started, the block reward was 50 Bitcoin per block, and then 4 years later it halved to 25 Bitcoin per block, and so on until today when the block reward is 6.25 Bitcoin. So halvings happen in other cryptocurrencies, but Bitcoin is the biggest example. Bitcoin Pizza Day. This refers to a date which is May 22nd. So back in 2010, the first real-world transaction was made using Bitcoin. This was to buy a pizza. The person paid 10,000 Bitcoin for 2 pizzas, which today is worth over $300 million. So they celebrate this day as a kind of nod to the first real transaction that was made using Bitcoin. Bitcoin's environmental impact. So Bitcoin has caught a lot of heat lately due to the fact that the process of mining takes up a lot of energy. For example, the total energy used to mine a Bitcoin in a year is equal to that of a country the size of Norway. This has led many people to act against Bitcoin mining as it is using a large amount of energy. It also doesn't help that the energy consumption increases exponentially every 4 years due to the halving. In theory, we could see Bitcoin taking up as much power as half the world in the next 100 years if you extrapolate a chart for the exponential energy increase. Crypto winter. A crypto winter refers to a time when nothing happens in the crypto space and the price of coins stay at lows for a prolonged period. For example, we are in a crypto winter in 2022, and the same thing happened in 2019 because of the price of Bitcoin and other coins not really increasing. El Salvador and Bitcoin City. This refers to the country in South America which lately has started to promote the buying of Bitcoin due to inflation crises in their country. They also said that they are building a Bitcoin city next to a volcano. This city is supposed to be a city where everything is paid for and bought in Bitcoin instead of the native currency of El Salvador. Bitcoin ETF. An ETF is an exchange traded fund, and in the stock world is commonly a collation of a bunch of stocks together. Then you can invest in these, and if the stocks go up, you'll get a good return. Same goes for a Bitcoin ETF where a person can invest into it, and they will be buying holdings in different aspects of Bitcoin. These could be things like purely just Bitcoin or mining companies. January 3rd, 2009. This refers to the date where the first Bitcoin block was mined by a person called Satoshi Nakamoto. Bitcoin is dead. There is a website called Bitcoin is Dead where it displays obituaries from people talking about Bitcoin dying. These coins come from very notable people in the tech industry all the way back to October 2010. There are high up people on this website, most notably Google engineers, economists and professors who have publicly stated that their views on Bitcoin dying. Bitcoin has cycles. Over the years, the price of Bitcoin has spiked up and down, and therefore people believe that there's a cycle to the market. Because crypto has only been around for 12 years, there is still a debate whether it has cycles like the normal stock market. Personally, I think there's cycles after halvings of Bitcoin. We've seen that in the past that after a halving, the price starts to rise and then dips off around 2 years later into a crypto winter. Ethereum 2.0. This is a topic that I cover extensively on my channel due to the fact that it's very important to mining. So Ethereum 2.0 is a switch on the network from proof of work to proof of stake. They are making this switch to allow for lower transaction fees and less energy consumption used on the network. It has been pushed back multiple times and was supposed to happen back in 2019, but is still in development at current time. Bitcoin Conference. This is where people from all around the world meet together to talk about crypto. They have these conferences all over the world in places such as Miami and Amsterdam. Many leading people in the crypto space go to talk about their projects and what they have to offer. 99% of cryptocurrencies will fail. So over the years, many cryptocurrencies have failed and fizzled out, which leads some people to say that 99% of them will fail. We have seen this happen back in 2009, where Bitcoin first appeared, because there were also many other cryptos that followed Bitcoin and aren't around anymore. Currently there is around 20,000 cryptocurrencies that you can buy, but the likelihood is that many of these will fail. If the math is correct, it means that only 200 cryptocurrencies from now will actually be in discussion in the future. These most likely will be things such as Ethereum and Bitcoin. Bitcoin Core. This is a native wallet for Bitcoin. It allows you to set up wallets for Bitcoin transfers. It also gives an option for you to download the entire transaction history of Bitcoin, which allows you to become a Bitcoin node. It takes up around 300 gigabytes of storage to download the entire transaction history of Bitcoin. 1 Bitcoin equals 1 Bitcoin. This refers to the fact that in the future, when all the Bitcoin is mined, the price of 1 Bitcoin will equal 1 Bitcoin. This is because Bitcoin will not inflate over time because there is a finite supply. For example, $1 back in 1990 is not worth $1 today due to the inflation of the currency. Because more dollars can be produced, it devalues the price of the dollar that came before it. So because there can only be 21 million Bitcoin, it means that 1 Bitcoin will be worth the same as 1 Bitcoin when all the Bitcoins are mined. Dollar cost averaging. This is the technique that investors employ to get the best return for their money. Simply put, if you invest a certain amount of money every week, month or year, this creates an average price increase over time. So when the market is high, you'll be buying less, but when the market is low, you'll be buying more. It's probably one of the safest ways to invest as you get an average increase over time. Bored Ape Yacht Club. This is an NFT collection that has been popular in the crypto world due to its high price, with many rich and famous people buying one and displaying it as their avatar. If you own one of these NFTs, you'll get invited to events that are run by the creators. Many of these NFTs sell upwards of $250,000, with the most expensive one being sold for $3.4 million. Only criminals use Bitcoin. Many people were saying this back in the early days of Bitcoin, as it was being used by people on the dark web to purchase things such as drugs and weapons. Due to the fact that Bitcoin is untraceable, you can remain anonymous when making these transactions. Therefore, criminals used it to make sure they didn't get caught. After the massive spike in 2017, it started to become mainstream, but it's still used on the dark web to purchase things. $1 million Bitcoin. This refers to Bitcoin reaching a price of $1 million per coin. Currently it's trading at around $20,000 per coin, with a market cap of around $800 billion. For Bitcoin to hit 1 million per coin, it would then mean that the market cap would have to be around $18 trillion, which is 18 times more than that of companies like Apple and Microsoft. Most likely it won't hit $1 million per coin in my lifetime. Lost coins. So many people over the years have lost their coins due to losing their seed phrase or losing the hard drive that their coins were on. There's been stories of people looking for their hard drives in landfill sites to try recover their coins. Overall, it's believed that around 2 million coins are lost forever. Cold versus hot wallets. So wallets can either be cold or hot depending on which wallet you use. A cold wallet is a wallet that is kept offline, such as a ledger wallet. They ensure that the only way your Bitcoin can be stolen is by obtaining the physical copy of the wallet. A hot wallet is one that is connected online, such as wallets that you keep on exchanges like Binance or Coinbase. Because these wallets are online, they can in theory be hacked by anyone that has access. So there are benefits to both types of wallets, but the main reason for cold wallets is safety, and for hot wallets are mainly used for the ease of access to your crypto. Bitcoin Magazine. This is one of the original news and print magazine publishers covering Bitcoin and digital currencies. Bitcoin Magazine began publishing in 2012 and its co-founder was also Vitalik Buterin, who made Ethereum. Lightning Network. This refers to a network that was set up on top of Bitcoin to allow for more transactions to be processed and have lower transaction fees. It has been very successful so far, with many people adopting to use it to transfer their Bitcoin. Liquidity pool. This is where a pool of crypto is set up to allow for faster transactions on a network. For example, when a person wants to buy crypto, it can either be from another person or a liquidity pool. It's basically like a reserve of coins that can be transferred instantly. Most exchanges have liquidity pools to facilitate faster transactions. Rug pull. This is a type of scam where a crypto will pay influencers to promote their coin. This gets people to start buying, and then the price of the coin goes up. After the price is up, the founders of the coin will sell their holdings for millions of dollars, and the price will tank. This leaves the owners rich and the rest of the buyers in the negative. Pump and dump. This is the same as a rug pull, just a different name for it. Now we're on to tier 4. The information in this tier is probably only known by people who are very involved in the crypto space. Scalability. This refers to the problem that crypto is facing, and this is the scalability of a network. For a cryptocurrency to be fully adopted as money, it needs to be able to do a lot of transactions per second. Currently, no cryptocurrency can do any amount of transactions when compared to a bank. This is why they need scalability on their networks. But the problem with increasing scalability is that you tend to make the network less secure and more centralized, which is not good, seeing that the whole point of crypto was to be secure and decentralized. Block size. This refers to mining coins where the block size is either predetermined or it has halvings. As said previously, the halving will reduce the block size for Bitcoin. However, on some crypto networks, the block size is set to a certain amount, but will increase if there's more transactions on the network. When there are big NFT collection drops, there tends to be large amounts of transactions on the Ethereum chain. Therefore, the network rewards miners for processing more transactions by increasing the block size. Bitcoin upgrades. We already covered this with the Lightning Network being an upgrade to Bitcoin, but there are plans to introduce further upgrades on top of the Lightning Network. Hard fork versus soft fork. A hard fork is where you take the code from one cryptocurrency and introduce your own rules onto the code. This is how many cryptocurrencies have been made over the years. Most hard forks come from Bitcoin. An example for this is Litecoin. A soft fork is where you take the code from another crypto, but you introduce rules that don't affect the previous rules. This allows the network to update without creating a new crypto. Bitcoin offshoots. This refers back to the previous entry of hard forking Bitcoin. So over the years, many people have hard forked Bitcoin and tried to make copies. There are loads of offshoots such as Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin Gold, and Bitcoin Classic. Year 2140. This year is predicted to be the year where the last ever Bitcoin is mined. Because Bitcoin's halvings, it will take around 120 more years to mine all the Bitcoin. Now, it might not exactly be this year, but it will be around that time, depending on the updates to the network. Dorian Nakamoto. This man is supposedly the founder of Bitcoin, and many people have done research and found various similarities between Dorian and Satoshi. Obviously, the biggest one being that their last names are the same. Hal Finney. He was the first person to receive a transaction on the Bitcoin network, and it came from Satoshi Nakamoto. This led many to believe that he might be the founder. The first transaction on the network was 10 Bitcoin. China's Bitcoin ban. In the news around a year ago, China decided to ban crypto and crypto mining. This is probably due to the fact that they don't have any control over Bitcoin or crypto, so they can't keep track of their population's money. It also caused massive waves for miners as they had to ship out their equipment to other countries that allowed for crypto mining. Legality of Bitcoin. This refers back to the criminal use of Bitcoin and the fact that no government can control Bitcoin. Many places started to ban crypto because they don't have control over it, whereas with their own fiat money they can control spending and production. Right now crypto is kind of in a grey area for most governments. ICO. This stands for Initial Coin Offering. Very similar to how a company would have an initial public offering, this is where a coin gets released to the public for sale and people can choose to buy it or not. Many ICOs drive up the price of coins, but mostly they eventually fall off after the hype around the coin is gone. 2008 financial crisis. This financial crash is what led to the birth of Bitcoin and was first created to be a store of value in which a person could protect their money from the crashing of an economy if it were to happen again. So far, Bitcoin hasn't reached that point yet and is more looked at as a currency and not a store of value yet. Satoshi is rich. This refers to the fact that Satoshi's Bitcoin wallet has around 1.1 million Bitcoin and hasn't been used since 2010. The price of that Bitcoin today is around $22 billion, which technically makes him one of the top 20 richest people in the world. Satoshi's disappearance. This follows on from previous entry as I mentioned that his wallet hasn't been used since 2010. This leads people to believe that the founder is either dead or has dropped off the face of the earth. There is a lot of conspiracy theories surrounding this, with many people thinking that the government was involved and didn't want anything taken over the dollar. Crypto in the Russia-Ukrainian war. Obviously right now there is a war going on between the two countries. Crypto has played a role for both sides as their respective currencies have dropped in price, and therefore people are using crypto to stop against inflation or their native currency. Crypto has helped Russia evade sanctions from certain countries as it's anonymous and can't be traced. Tokenomics. This refers to a term crypto investors use when they are looking to buy a coin. It basically is the elements that make a crypto valuable and interesting to an investor. Similar to economics of a stock, but for cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin in politics. Over the growing years of Bitcoin, we have seen many people in politics talk about Bitcoin and what potential threats and uses it can have. As I said earlier, it's a grey area for governments, with many people endorsing it, but also a lot of people being against it. Bitcoin Improvement Proposal. These are proposed by teams of developers which are trying to improve Bitcoin with things such as the Lightning Network. Because the founder of Bitcoin isn't actually there, they have a team that actually chooses to improve the network, and this is done by votes from people who hold Bitcoin. They choose to soft fork the code and try and make a better Bitcoin. Investment versus currency. This refers to crypto being used as an investment instead of currency. Most buyers of crypto are buying to invest and hopes that the coin prices will go up. That's all well and good, but crypto for the most part is supposed to be the next currency, and there's not enough people using it in that way. You have seen many companies start to accept crypto as a form of currency, but not enough for it to start becoming an everyday thing. An example of this is Tesla, as they allow you to purchase cars in Bitcoin or Dogecoin. Elon Musk. This refers to Elon Musk, who has been a big name in the crypto space, as he was a large factor to the price of crypto going up back in 2021. Since then, he has calmed down a little bit on the crypto side of things, but still has a major influence, and any crypto he mentions tends to have a price spike for a brief period of time. Multi-signature wallets. These are wallets that require multiple different keys to access and approve transactions. They are mainly used as an extra layer of security to protect against hackers and people who want to steal your coins. Crypto Land. This is a private island NFT project where founders are trying to gather money to buy an island. They are selling plots of this island in a form of NFTs, with the hope that eventually they can buy an island with this money that they raised. Then everyone that purchased an NFT will be allowed to go on this island. No coiner. This is a term used in a sort of derogatory way to describe somebody who hasn't invested into cryptocurrency, most likely targeted at old people who have no interest in buying crypto, and at people who missed the boat years ago and are bitter because of it. CBDC stands for Central Bank's Digital Currency. These are coins set up by central banks and are centralized, obviously. Therefore, they are not a true cryptocurrency. They are also trying to use these to overtake Bitcoin or other top coins in the space. The reason for less adoption of these coins is that they don't come with the benefit of anonymity and untraceability. BitConnect. This was a Ponzi scheme that was set up in 2016 where they were promising high yield investment if you bought into their coin. The founders were actually jailed due to many charges including wire fraud and money laundering. Wrapped Bitcoin. This is a forked version of Bitcoin which can be used on the Ethereum network. It's technically a stable coin of Ethereum that is backed one-to-one by Bitcoin. It allows for the users on Ethereum to access the DeFi ecosystem that Bitcoin holds. Blockchain games. This refers to the hundreds of games that are created on the blockchain. These games offer a play-to-earn system where you play games and earn crypto if you do well in these games. It's not a fully fleshed out market because games tend to be bad and the rewards tend to be low. CryptoKitties. This is a very early crypto game involving NFTs where you would breed crypto kittens to make new ones. From there you could either keep the new one and breed more, or you could sell it for money. The highest one was sold for $300,000, but the average price right now is around $70 per kitty. How stablecoins are backed. We did cover this earlier, but basically stablecoins work on algorithms that keep the price the same. They can be backed by real money or by crypto. Normally, if the price goes above the stablecoin amount, the algorithm will take the fiat money and sell more of the coin, and vice versa if the price drops. Now we're on to Tier 5. This goes over some more obscure topics in the crypto space. Cypherpunks. In 1992, 3 Bay Area computer scientists launched a new mailing list for the discussion of cryptography, mathematics, politics, and philosophy. They called the members of this mailing list cypherpunks. They launched it to find people that could help with problems in cryptography and the way they could fix it. This is most likely where the big foundings of crypto came from, but we'll get into that later. Burn wallet. These are wallets that are set up to allow transactions into the wallet and not out of the wallet. So when crypto is sent to a burn wallet, it can no longer be accessed. Many cryptocurrencies set up burn wallets that are filled through transaction fees. Burner wallets allow for the supply of crypto to decrease the number of coins in circulation. Over time, this leads to there being less supply of the coin, so there'll be more demand and the price of the coin will slowly go up. Satoshi is the government. This is a belief that the founder of Bitcoin is actually the government itself, or that it's a government operative who set it up. It could be to push people to a new world order under one government and one currency. Right now, many governments hold a large amount of crypto on their balance sheets, so it's possible to assume they know something we don't. SHA-256. This is a hashing algorithm which encrypts data via a 256-bit password. Miners will use this algorithm to mine Bitcoin, but many hard forks of Bitcoin choose to use this algorithm as well. There are loads of different hashing algorithms for different coins, but SHA-256 is the biggest one out there. Lunar crash. This refers to the stablecoin called Terra Luna, which a few months ago crashed dramatically and lost 99% of its value in around a week. It was one of the top 20 biggest cryptocurrencies and is now only worth pennies. This all happened because the algorithm for the stablecoin was not working properly and caused the reserve of Bitcoin to keep selling to match the price of $1. Because it kept selling Bitcoin, it meant that it had less and less reserves to buy Luna and keep the price stable. If you want to learn more, CoffeeZilla has some good videos about it which do a more deeper dive into the Luna crash. Block 170. This was the block that contained the first transaction from Satoshi to Hal Finney, so the blocks before that were empty of transactions and this was the first to contain any data. Double spend. This is a problem in crypto where under the correct circumstances, a person can introduce a modified block into the chain and therefore reclaim spent coins. It happened to Ethereum back in 2016 and caused the network to do a fork. This double spend compromises the network and transactions can no longer be secure, so Ethereum developers chose to fork Ethereum into a newer coin. Tether is a ticking time bomb. This refers to another stablecoin which many believe will suffer the same fate as Terra Luna did. This is due to the algorithm and team behind it. Tether is the biggest stablecoin, and if it crashes, it could cause a chain reaction and plummet the price of Bitcoin, like Luna did. Silk Road. This is the dark web black market which criminals used Bitcoin to buy and sell things. We did cover this earlier, but I'll add that crypto was a driving factor in the expansion of Silk Road just because of the untraceability nature of Bitcoin. Ethereum hard fork. As mentioned earlier, the Ethereum network hard forked due to a double spend hack in which over $60 million was stolen. The team decided to hard fork to make a new coin, so there's now 2 Ethereum coins in the crypto space. One is called Ethereum Classic and the other is just called Ethereum. So technically Ethereum Classic is still the original, but much more people use the Ethereum network instead of Ethereum Classic. MT-Gox. This was an early Bitcoin exchange which in 2014 lost over 850,000 Bitcoin. They suspended trading and went offline. Some believe they took the holdings for themselves, but some of their holdings have actually been recovered recently. The total amount lost is upwards of $10 billion at today's price. We are all Satoshi. This refers to the idea that Bitcoin is less of a one-person founding and more of an adoption by the people. The idea of the project mattering more than the individual who created it. It works very well because the creator is anonymous and so nobody is to blame or to worship for making Bitcoin. Similarities to the dot-com boom. This is what many people have observed about crypto in the last couple of years, as they have said that it's very similar to the dot-com boom and the dot-com bubble. Because new cryptocurrencies are created every day and everyone seems to be going up in price, even though they aren't really providing anything. The same thing happened back in the early 2000s, and people think it will come crashing down like back then. Layer 1 versus Layer 2. So Layer 1 cryptocurrencies are the base layer like Bitcoin or Ethereum. They were made as their own blockchain. Layer 2 cryptocurrencies are built on top of Layer 1 to provide extra features to the chain. We mentioned the Lightning Network for Bitcoin earlier, which helps with the transaction fees and scalability. Therefore, it's a Layer 2 crypto because it's built on top of Bitcoin. The Borgendorfs. These were two French twins who were TV presenters. They did a show about science and widely believed to have high IQs. They have been a meme/advocate for crypto, and there are many conspiracies surrounding them. It's claimed that they were actually helping Satoshi in the early days of Bitcoin, but there hasn't been much proof to that claim. Sadly, they both passed away due to COVID within the same week back in December of 2021. NFTs and money laundering. This refers to many rich people using NFTs to launder money. This is made easier because of the anonymity of crypto and the fact it can't be traced. It's done much like they do in the physical art world, where they'll commission a painting and get them appraised for certain amounts. So when people on the dark web can take their crypto and buy their own NFT, they also offer it for sale and buy it with their own money, which can be funneled into different addresses and becomes clean money. Also, this is not a lesson in money laundering and I don't endorse any of that. We are now on to Tier 6, which covers some things that I personally didn't know much about, so if the explanations are wrong at this point, then put a comment below to correct me. Global reserve currency. This refers to the dollar being the global reserve currency. However, many people think that in the future, crypto like Bitcoin or Ethereum will be the global reserve currency. This is because they want something the governments don't have control over. Bitcoin Genesis block. This is the name of the first Bitcoin block ever mined in 2009. The Genesis block forms the foundation of the Bitcoin trading system and is the prototype for all other blocks in the Bitcoin chain. The Times Easter egg. I couldn't really find much about this, but I believe it's an Easter egg that some company left on their website, in which a person found it and was rewarded in a certain amount of crypto. Hashcash. This is a proof of work system which is used to limit email spam. This is where the founder of Bitcoin got the idea for Bitcoin and implemented the same system to set it up for Bitcoin. This also ties into a later entry in the Iceberg, but we'll get into that soon. Two generals problem. In computing, the two generals problem is a thought experiment meant to illustrate the pitfalls and design challenges of attempting to coordinate an action by communicating over an unreliable link. Bitcoin actually solves this problem through cryptography in the code and allows for two users to communicate and coordinate something without having to worry about it being wrong. r/Buckcoin. This is a subreddit which is set up around a coin. This coin's team openly admits it's a scam, yet they still have a decent following. Many people are still invested in this coin and it's kind of looked at as a cult thing where buyers ride or die for this coin. Mike Hearn. He's a Bitcoin developer and former senior software engineer at Google, where he worked on Google Earth, Google Maps, Gmail and anti-spam and account security. He now works full-time on the Bitcoin system doing app development, research and work on the protocol. Testnet. This is an alternative blockchain that developers use for testing. Testing coins do not hold any value. Developers use testnets to experiment with the blockchain without using real coins or worrying about breaking the main chain. Mining difficulty. This is the measure of how difficult it is to mine a block on a network. As more miners start to mine, then the difficulty goes up as well. Normally it's a steady increase, but difficulty can decrease if many miners leave the network. Things such as halvings also affect the difficulty on the network. Satoshi Nobel Prize. This refers to the founder of Bitcoin. Many people have stated that he should get a Nobel Prize on economics for the work he did on Bitcoin. This has a possibility of happening, but can't actually be presented to him because he's anonymous. Deflationary spiral. This is an economic argument that proposes that runaway deflation can eventually lead to the collapse of a currency given a certain condition and constraint. It is a common criticism made against the viability of Bitcoin. Many proof-of-stake cryptocurrencies will have this problem in the future due to staking, because it creates deflation if everyone keeps staking into the network. Nicholas Szabo. This is a computer scientist, legal scholar, and cryptographer known for his research in digital contracts and digital currency. Many people have questioned if he is Satoshi, but on multiple occasions he has denied it. Adam Back. He was the inventor of the Hashcash consensus, in which Bitcoin is modeled from, so many people also think he's a main contender for being the creator of Bitcoin. Bitcoin is better than gold. This refers to Bitcoin being a better asset than gold. So gold has the highest stock to flow ratio of any assets, and this has helped it to become the most used currency for thousands of years. However, Bitcoin is set up to actually overtake gold's stock to flow ratio in the near future. This is due to it being easier to transport and store. Furthermore, it's also impervious to counterfeiting. Gavin Andresen. This is a software developer best known for his involvement with Bitcoin. He has done major work in the space and has also starred in many documentaries on crypto and Bitcoin as a whole. He still posts things on Twitter but has not been active as of late. Now we are down to tier 7. I've had a relatively hard time finding this information, so again, if I got anything incorrect, then please let me know in the comments. AfriScript. This refers to two South African brothers who started an exchange and suddenly disappeared along with 3 billion worth of crypto assets. So far, nobody has been able to find the two brothers, but they are probably living at large away from anyone who can find them. Block 666666 refers to a block on the Bitcoin chain, which when mined had a message in the code. The message contained was a quote from the Bible stating, "Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good." This block also had two wallet addresses in the transactions, which contained the words Bible and God. This was probably done intentionally, but was probably very hard to get a wallet address that contained actual words like that. Colored coins. These are denominations of a cryptocurrency, often Bitcoin, that are repurposed by marking it with metadata. Colored coins are often called metacoins. Colored coins can be created to repurpose Bitcoin or altcoins to create digital assets that represent other things of value. These are basically hard forks of crypto. Satoshi Nakamoto Mike Hearn emails. On April 23, 2011, Satoshi Nakamoto wrote one of their final emails. In the emails it said, "I've moved on from other things," he wrote to the Bitcoin developer Mike Hearn. "It's in good hands with Gavin and everyone." A few days later, he sent one last message to the newly assigned Bitcoin Core maintainer Gavin Andresen. It said, "I wish you wouldn't keep talking about me as a mysterious shadowy figure. Maybe instead make it about the open source project and give more credit to your development contributors." Segue stands for Segregated Witness, refers to a change in the transaction format of Bitcoin. Its stated purpose as a protocol upgrade was to protect against transactions malleability and decrease transaction times by increasing block capacity on the network. Taproot. The Taproot upgrade batches multiple signatures and transactions together, making it easier and faster to verify transactions on the Bitcoin network. It also scrambles transactions with single and multiple signatures together and makes it more difficult to identify transaction inputs on the Bitcoin blockchain. Bitcoin wasn't the first crypto. So contrary to popular belief, Bitcoin isn't actually the first cryptocurrency. It's widely argued that DigiCash was actually the first crypto that was made back in 1989 by a person called David Schramm. He created it after he wrote a cryptography paper in 1983. Gavin Andresen visit with the CIA. This refers to Gavin, who we talked about earlier, attending a CIA conference. He made a post on a Bitcoin Talk forum discussing that he is going to talk in front of the CIA and that people shouldn't start conspiracy theories about it. This is what he wrote in the first paragraph of the statement. I'm going to give a presentation about Bitcoin at the CIA headquarters in June at an emerging technologies conference for the US intelligence community. Running Bitcoin tweet. This is a tweet from Hal Finney back in 2009 where he posted a tweet saying running Bitcoin. The tweet has thousands of likes and comments coming from other big crypto developers. It's a self-explanatory tweet, which means that Hal Finney was running Bitcoin nodes back in 2009 before it turned into this massive crypto. Vitalik death hoax. Refers to the creator of the digital cryptocurrency Ethereum. Vitalik Buterin died in a car crash and insiders are selling like crazy. That was the headline. It soon became clear to the news that this wasn't true. This was posted to a notorious troll site 4chan, and many people realized it was fake, but still people sold off and it caused a brief price dip in the currency. Gold standard. This refers to the gold standard where currency was backed by gold. We have since moved on from this and the gold standard was discontinued back in the 60s. I think it specifically refers to Bitcoin becoming the new gold standard of currencies in the world, meaning that every currency would be backed by crypto or Bitcoin. Atomic swap. This refers to an exchange of cryptocurrencies from separate blockchains. The swap is conducted between two entities without a third-party involvement. The idea is to remove centralized intermediaries like regulated exchanges and give token owners total control. Coinye. Formerly Coinye West is a script-based cryptocurrency that was issued a cease and desist letters for using the likeness of American hip-hop artist Kanye West as its mascot, despite West having no affiliation with the project. WikiLeaks. This is a website that turned to Bitcoin donations because it couldn't raise and store funds in any other manner. Bitcoin and WikiLeaks became somewhat intertwined, early fledgling movements that both had their roots in the cypherpunk community. Bitcoin funding allowed the organization to continue to post, among other things. Crypto-anarchism, or could be called cyber-anarchism, is a political ideology focusing on the protection of privacy, political freedom, and economic freedom, the adherents of which use cryptography software for confidentiality and security while sending and receiving information over computer networks. Craig Wright and BSV. This refers to BSV, which is a version of Bitcoin which has a bigger block size to increase the transactions per second. It was created by Craig Wright, who self-proclaimed that he is Satoshi Nakamoto. There is obviously skepticism around that claim, as he hasn't provided solid proof yet. Crypto lost upon death. This refers to your assets if you die. Because crypto wallets need your seed phrase to unlock, it means that the crypto you have can only be given out upon death if your relative knows the seed phrase. If they don't know it, then there's no way to claim that money back, and therefore the crypto is lost upon death. Simple payment verification. This is a method that allows a lightweight client to check if a transaction is on the Bitcoin blockchain without having to download the entire blockchain. The block headers, which are significantly smaller than the full blocks, are all that the SPV is needed to download. It basically allows you to view a transaction without having to download the whole 300 GB ledger. Other types of Bitcoin nodes. This refers to the four primary nodes which Bitcoin uses. The main one is a mining node, which basically is the backbone of the blockchain. Then you have light nodes, full nodes, and super nodes. These allow various degrees of information to be downloaded and ran on the node. They all have various different uses, but aren't too dissimilar to each other. Now we're on to the last tier of the iceberg. This goes over many things that are in tier 7 and other things as well. B-Money and Wei Dai. These both refer to B-Money, which was created by Wei Dai back in 1998. B-Money was intended to be an anonymous, distributed electronic cash system. Although it was never officially launched, B-Money endeavored to provide many of the same services and features that contemporary cryptocurrencies today use as well. Bitcoin in a doomsday scenario. This refers to Bitcoin being a good candidate for money in a doomsday scenario. This is because only one copy of the transaction data is needed to survive for it to be used as a currency. Therefore, if you have your seed phrase, then you can then confirm the amount of Bitcoin you own. Most likely this will not happen in our lifetime, but could be a possibility in the future. Bitcoin and quantum computing. This refers to the security level of Bitcoin. At present time, Bitcoin is encrypted by a 256-bit encryption. To crack this encryption would take trillions of years on a normal computer. However, quantum computing can do this slightly quicker than a normal computer. In the future, if we have more powerful quantum computers, then this 256-bit encryption could be broken. Also, quantum computing could be used to mine Bitcoin, which would be very dominant over the normal mining machines. It could be possible in the future that Bitcoin mining does switch to quantum mining if quantum computers become readily available. E-Gold. This was a digital currency operated by Gold and Silver Republic Incorporated under E-Gold Limited that allowed users to open an account on their website denominated in grams of gold and the ability to make instant transfers of value to other E-Gold accounts. It was created back in 1996 and is called a private digital currency, so it's not classed as a full cryptocurrency. BitGold. In 1998, Shabu designed a mechanism for a decentralized digital currency he called BitGold. BitGold was never implemented, but has been called a direct precursor to the Bitcoin architecture. In Shabu's BitGold structure, a participant would dedicate computer power to solving cryptographic puzzles like they do in Bitcoin. Bitcoin is not the first blockchain. This is the same as Bitcoin not being the currency, but differentiated a little bit, calling it not the first blockchain. In 1991, two cryptographers at Bell Communication Research, Stuart Harbour and Scott Stornetta, published a paper, How to Timestamp a Digital Document, detailing a computational practicality timestamping solution. They then went on to make it in 1995, which is believed to be the first blockchain. Bitcoin Alert System Key. This refers to an alert on the network that could be sent out to every miner to stop transactions. This was used back in 2014 following a court order to establish the owners of certain Bitcoin. This was the only way the network could be stopped, but the team has since removed the function in 2016 because they believe that the Japanese actually obtained the key. They think they obtained the key from interrogation of a member of the team. They have no plans to add it back because they want a cryptocurrency free of tampering. 184 million Bitcoin. This refers to an error in Bitcoin's code back in 2010 where a block received 184 million Bitcoin. This came from an anonymous hacker who exploited the value overflow function in the code. Back in 2010, the error was corrected by Satoshi very quickly. If this wasn't fixed, it could have stopped Bitcoin from becoming a thing it is today. Bitcoin is not fungible. So fungibility is explained easiest by the amount of interchangeability a currency or asset has. For example, you can change a $50 note into 5 $10 bills. This means it's fungible. So Bitcoin in theory should be fungible because one Bitcoin can be split into two 0.5 Bitcoins and can be cut further than that. The only reason that it isn't fungible is the fact that some Bitcoins have been blacklisted because they have been stolen or are under investigation from exchanges. So therefore those Bitcoins can't be traded due to the ban which they have attached to them. This makes it slightly less fungible. A Cypherpunks Manifesto. This is a manifesto written by Eric Hughes back in 1993. He was part of the original Cypherpunks team and wrote out what it means to have privacy and security in a world where information isn't private. It rings very true to this day and age, and it's pretty much anything that you put on the internet is there forever. Even if you decided to delete it, some server still has it in storage and it can be re-uploaded. He also talks about the need for some sort of cryptocurrency in the world to help keep dealings between parties private and secure. So that's all the entries in the cryptocurrency iceberg. There are many that I could add to it, but I'd like to encourage you guys to go add your own submissions. If you want to do that, then I'll leave a link in the description to this iceberg. I spent a lot of time writing and editing this video, so please leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more content like this.